gets set. Jeff takes a last-minute look around. We'll take a ride around the course with him. Course designed today by Alan Wade from Ireland, one of the world's top course designers. 375 meters is the distance, 82 seconds the time allowed. So jump number 1, straight forward upright, meter 40 in height, Brook Street jump. Galloping straight on to jump number 2, meter 45 by a meter 50. The flow water upright rollback number 3. That one sits at a meter 46. Maximum height scheduled for today, meter 45. First combination, 1 stride, oxer upright. Gallop on down, 1 rail coming down there for 4 faults for Jeff early on. I'm going to roll around here. Solid 4 strides to the oxer coming out at jump number 7. Keeping Jenny nice and balanced around that turn. 7 strides to the signature RBC combination. And nicely out over the butterfly upright. Starting to wend his way now towards the end of the track. Long gallop in there to 11 A and B. And here's a Liverpool, jump number 12. Easy 5 strides coming home, out over the foam boxes. Four faults, 78.34 the time on course, so comfortably inside that time allowed of 82 seconds. Beautiful day here in Ottawa. Balmy 24 degrees Celsius. Very little humidity. Light breeze. You really couldn't ask for anything better. Next up to take the challenge is Cian White from Rockford, Ontario. Cian on the lovely grey mare Leilani. 2010 model Grey Oldenburg, owned by Agelstone Farms. Cian, one of the busiest men in show jumping, not only a top international rider, but runs his own series of horse shows at the Agelstone facility. Lovely technique with the grey mare. You can see how tight her front knees come up. Very sharp. Cian, a rider likes to keep his pace moving forward, which is very important in modern day show jumping. Time allowed is a significant factor. Balancing for 6 strides coming out over the Athens coins. And just having to hold and steady a little bit to get the 4 strides. And now he's going to gallop on a little bit, allowing Leilani just to lengthen the stride. And now settles back. Carries 7 down to the combination, easily through there. She's so quick with the legs. Alan Wade just allowing them to gallop onto that 2-stride combination at 11 meters 10. And a flyer coming home. And there's our first clear round. Well, there's our first clear round. Cian showing how to get the job done. And she is a handy little mare when it comes to the jump off, and he will be leading out. Combinations come back in the original order of go. So we'll be seeing Kian now. That is assuming, of course, that we do get a second clear round. Third horse rider combination on course now. From Ottawa, hometown girl Karen Sparks, and she is riding Calvin Klein. Calvin is a veteran himself of the international show jumping circuit, and another one of our multi-hat wearing athletes. Karen, executive director of this event. Not an easy thing to do, to be a top level competitor and an organizer at the same time, but a win yesterday. Karen showing it can be done. Big rangy type Calvin, different model to the horse we just saw, Leilani. A very scopy type of horse. Gives the jumps lots of air. But a horse you have to generate a little bit of motor on. Well, that was unlucky. I thought she jumped number 6 clear, but it comes down. Number 7 coming down as well. So currently sitting on 8 faults. 4 faults accumulated, of course, for every rail down on course. Keeping that pace going nicely around the turn. And just settling a little bit for B. It's quite delicate, the upright coming out at 11B. The plain oxer of the Liverpool really invites you to gallop on. Tough break for Karen. 2 rails down for 8 faults. Well, next on course to take the challenge laid down by Alan Wade is Lucy Davis from the United States and Caracho 14. Caracho, 9-year-old Holsteiner gelding, owned by the Old Oak Farm. Lucy, originally from Los Angeles, California, is now based in the Old Salem Farm in North Salem, New York. One of the rising stars of the American show jumping team. And you say rising star, but she already has an Olympic silver medal under her belt, riding the wonderful horse Baron in Rio de Janeiro. Today riding Caracho, as we said, a Holsteiner gelding. Watched this horse jump yesterday, and he really does fling himself over the jumps. Lovely type of horse, has a nice round gallop, covers the ground well. Very athletic. Folds the knees, tucks the forelegs, and then finishes the arc with a real nice flip of the hind end. Nicely ridden down there. Just regrouping around the corner by the in-gate, keeping the focus. Not even touching the rails. Oh, he did tap that one. Commentator's curse, but she gets by with it. And Lucy Davis and Caracho, they force a jump off. Next on course from Oakville, Ontario is Ainsley Vents. Ainsley riding Darling, owned by the Darling Group, 14-year-old Grey Westphalian mare by the legendary stallion Kornet Oblonsky, winner of multiple medals for the German national team. Ainsley's been a stalwart of the Canadian show jumping scene for many years now, and great to see her back at the sharp end of the sport with Darling. Another one to watch if they go clear and get into the jump off. Nice gallop in there. Jumped really hard out over A. Ainsley had to work hard to get back, get organized, but got the job done. Oh, really steady here, getting organized to this line. Just needs to pick up the pace a little. So far, so good. Just cut a little bit on the inside line there from 8 to 9 AB. I think closed the gap up a little bit more than she was anticipating. Unfortunately, the front rail coming down. Ideally, you want to be middle to middle all the way through the jumps. Finished up well coming home, but 4 faults on course. Next up, one of the future stars of Canadian show jumping, Nicole Walker and Excellent B. Excellent is a 2009 model Dutch-bred gelding by Berlin out of a Heartbreaker mare, owned by Nicole. 2017 was a banner year for this combination, just tearing up the U25 series across Canada, culminating in a fantastic win at the Royal Horse Show in Toronto in November. Now continuing their march forward up the ranks. A really strong, powerful jumping horse. Carries his head a little high, but makes up for it with all the power coming from the back. Nicole just has to keep it managed. Nicely down through that line. Oh, tough break coming out over the butterfly upright. That gap closes very quickly, that distance, especially on a horse that likes to move forward. recovered nicely. Disappointing for Nicole with the 4 faults, but other than that, a really solid performance. She'll be feeling very good about the rest of the week. And we head on now to Brantford, Ontario, and Hyde Moffat, one of the hardest working guys in show jumping and one of the nicest guys too. Hyde is a real grinder on the circuit, and today riding Grafton, a 12-year-old French-bred stallion owned by the Lothlorien Farms. Ariel Grange handing over the ride to Hyde. Really nice model of a horse. He's light. Has a ground covering stride for he's not the biggest horse in the world. Hyde taking a nice efficient route there into 4AB. Nice and positive through that. Just allowing Grafton to take on the stride. Just keep him back a little bit. It's a little loose with the front end, but Hyde getting him back. Now just stay still and quiet. Nicely done. Now a little bit of a closing of the leg here, cover the ground. Just keeping him up in front of his leg here. Grafton responds well. One more. Yeah, he's done it. Excellent ride from Hyde Moffat. Oh, Hyde should be thrilled to pieces with that. He put in a great ride, and Grafton responded. Nicely managed around the track. So 3 clear rounds so far. Kian White Leilani, Lucy Davis, and Caracho 14, and Hyde Moffat we've just seen with Grafton. Wind just picking up a little bit. Coming across this lovely grass stadium. Nice crowd in today. What else do you want to do on a Thursday afternoon? This is absolutely perfect. On course now, we have veteran Canadian team member Beth Underhill. Beth today riding Count Me In. Lovely 11-year-old Hanoverian gelding by Count Granas out of a Sherlock Holmes mare, owned by Sandy Lupton. And this is a horse that Beth has been bringing along steadily, really starting to come into his own. Horse that likes to take on the jumps. And again, another one with a common theme with these horses at this level. Really do jump well behind. Combination that's really developed together. Beth's eyes light up when you get her to talk about him. Not shy with posting the training sessions on Facebook either, so if you ever want a free lesson, check out Beth Underhill Stables on Facebook. A little bit of a press there, reorganized nicely. So quick with the front legs. Easy. Just keep calm. Nicely done for Beth Underhill. And one more into the jump off. Well, next rider on course barely needs an introduction, but we'll do it anyway. Captain Canada, Ian Miller from Perth, Ontario. Just a short drive west down Highway 7. Today's riding Truman. Truman, the 2009 French-bred gelding, owned by the Millebrook Farm and Patrick Overland. Oh, jump number 2 coming down, front rail of the Canada Oxa. Makes for a long trek around when you get a fence that early. Ian's mind now will be on reorganizing, getting Truman focused, so competition later in the week, specifically the Grand Prix, he'll know what he's dealing with. Came through there very nicely. Shorter, boxier type of horse than his great partner Dixon. And his Olympic mount In Style from Beijing. Another rail coming down at number 10, the Butterflies. Tough to see from this vantage point, but looked like maybe the distance closed up a little. Over the Liverpool nicely. Finished off no problem, but 2 rails for Ian and Truman. Time allowed, or the time on course, will dictate where they sit in the current order. Full clears at this point. Kean White and Leilani, Lucy Davis and Caracho, Hyde Moffat, Grafton, and the final one so far at this stage, Beth Underhill and Count Me In. Still a good few horse rider combinations left to go with some real contenders yet. Next up, originally from Ireland, representing Ireland, 25-year-old Jordan Coyle. Jordan, the older brother of Daniel Coyle, who's been, quite frankly, tearing up the Canadian scene for the last couple of years. But today we see Jordan, and he is riding Aristoff, the 9-year-old Dutch-bred gelding, owned by Elan Farms. Very efficient from 2 to 3, wasting no time at all. Keeping moving forward. Good shot in there over 4A. Really getting a good lift and balancing up, coming down that line to the Athens coins jump. Depicted from the 2004 Olympic Games. Like how to see Jordan's very quick to get into the turn. Allows him just to be a little bit more patient at the jump. Horse with a good stride. Just see there as he comes out of that line straight onto the gallop into the turn. Doesn't want to waste any time at all. It's a very efficient way of riding. Patient down, doing 5 strides down to the phone booth. And Jordan will join that jump off with Aristoff. That makes 5. Well, earlier in the competition we saw Ainsley Vance. Now we move to Courtney Vance. And Courtney riding Valetto JX. 16-year-old grey Scottish sport horse gelding. Don't see many of those around. By 7Z, owned by the Ashford Farm. Courtney, another lifelong equestrian, been at this game a long time. Applied a trade for Eric Lamaze at the Torrey Pine Stables, where she pretty much did everything. Now she and Ainsley have got their business going in Burlington, Ontario. Big rangy horse. Valetto. Had to work hard there again, balanced and keep the impulsion moving forward. Well, I like to see that inside turn there, the island there, save a bunch of time. Just allow her to keep him organized. Try and take the clock out of the picture. Horse that you can't chase too much for pace. Smart move. Settle back nicely, done there over the Liverpool. Really showed his scope and power. .80.82 time allowed, so just shows how important it was to do that turn inside the island. Otherwise she might not have made it. But no problems. All you have to do is get clear, and she has done it. Next up from Calgary is Vanessa Max. Vanessa riding her own Hey Jude, 9-year-old Belgian warm blood gelding by Ugano Site. Another one of the next tranche of Canadian team members looking to get in the eyesight of chef de keep Mark Laskin. Mark made the trip out here this week to look at some of the riders competing out here in Ottawa. Vanessa really developing a nice string of horses, showing a maturing experience there. She came out over number 7, put on a little bit of a gallop. This is a horse that again is a very efficient jumper. Doesn't spend a lot of time in the air, gets onto the next jump very well. Lovely expression. He is forward. Very sharp with the knees. And no problems. Easily within that time allowed of 82 seconds. And now we move to 7. Clear round starting to come thick and fast. Coming back in, looking to make it 2 into the jump off is Kian White from Cambridge. Oh, our birthplace is Cambridge, Ontario. Rockwood, Ontario is where he makes his home now. We saw Kian earlier. First one in the jump off with Leilani. This time he's up with Z Diamanti, 2007 Brown Holsteiner mare, owned by the Z Group, Javier Salvador Stables and Diamanti Atelier. Solid campaign for Kian. Really important as a athlete in this sport, playing your trade at the top end, to have these horses that you can do multiple events with. Oh, a little bit far off the base there. Kian just looking for Diamanti, did a little bit more push, stayed a little flat. Rail coming down. Nice recovery though, 8, 9A, B, and 10. No problems at all. Pick up the gallop a little bit. Still some prize money to be had in the lower placings. 7 clears at this stage. Kian unable to make it 8 with Diamanti, but 4 faults. Jump number 6, the white upright. The only mistake on course for Kian. Back up on course for second time is Karen Sparks from Ottawa. Karen this time riding Teddy Dubusquetu. Teddy is a 2003 model Belgian sport horse gelding by Ogano Cite and owned by the Brook Street Corporation. Earlier on talked about Karen being the executive director of the Ottawa International Horse Show. Busy mom as well with 3 young children with husband Andy. Andy her husband, but for Karen, Teddy is her horse husband. According to her, perfect match, as she says. And so far, so good. I should be quiet, unfortunately, but on the rail comes. Just galloped up the line there, stayed a little flat on the front end. So important to keep organized coming around that corner to jump number 8. It really is the gateway into this line. 8A, excuse me, 8, 9A, B, and 10. 10 coming down also. 4 strides coming out of that combination get quite tight if you come out with any pace at all. Easy out over the foam boxes to finish. And 2 rails on course for 8 faults for Karen Sparks and Teddy. Next up is Quentin Judge. Quentin on Giorgio van Hagenhof, the 2006 Belgian-bred gelding, owned by the Double H Farm. Quentin's first time to the Ottawa International, so we welcome Quentin. First 3 jumps, no problems at all. Oh, that's too bad. It looked like you got all the work done there. Unfortunately, Giorgio not quite getting the front legs out of the way quick enough. Big, powerful jumper. Second rail coming down. Quentin doing a good job on getting balance there to number 9A. At that distance of 7 meters 90, just getting a little too snug there for the big gelding. Keeping him well off the base over the Liverpool oxer. Twelve faults in total for Quentin. 3 rails down on course. So that is the midway point of this competition, the Capital Classic, presented by RBC. I will take a short break in the ring just while the arena crew do some maintenance in the warm-up ring. Well, my mistake. First one back, in fact, is not Kelly Solo Miller, but husband Jonathan Miller. And Jonathan opting for Dublin out of the Millbrook stable for the RBC Capital Classic. Dublin, 9-year-old Belgian sport horse gelding, owned by the Millbrook Farm. Jonathan has been a real anchor for Mark Laskin's Nations Cup team as they chased qualification for the FEI Nations Cup final in Barcelona. Not only qualifying, but qualifying in the top seed coming out of the North American and Central American division. Fantastic performances over the 3 qualifying competitions. Jonathan underway with Dublin, and so far so good. Nicely balanced through that delicate line. 6 to 7, sweeping turnaround 8. Now just balance back for the 7 strides coming down the hill. There's a little bit of a slope there, which may be a little hard to see on camera, but I think that's part of what drags you into jump number 10. Efficiently onto 11. Really nicely through that combination. Now stay patient. So good all the way to the final line, but both jumps coming down at 12 and 13. 8 faults for Jonathan. Running time of 79.65 for Jonathan. Time allowed 82 seconds. So from Jonathan Miller to Kelly Solo Miller. Kelly riding Cachorel. Cachorel 2007 year Dutch bred mare by Vigino out of a Clinton mare, owned by Donna van der Vude Diamond and Bridgebrook Arms. So we'll see what Kelly's been able to learn from husband Jonathan's trip around, which was excellent until the last line. Oh, back rail of number 2 coming down. Now got to regroup. Well reorganized there. Rode the tricky line 4AB 5 well. All information to be taken forward to the next competition. Nice solid approach into the 11AB combination. Out well, galloped on to the Liverpool. And no problem at all with that difficult line. That was a tough break, just the back rail of jump number 2 coming down. But 4 faults that will prevent them from joining the 7 already into the jump off. We stay with the United States for Lindsay Douglas. Lindsay riding a Butterfly to RBC. 13-year-old Zangerscheide mare by Berlin out of Silvio 2 mare. Lindsay is the owner rider. Interesting little stories. Lindsay trains with American teammate Lucy Davis, and they were friends at Stanford University where they both studied together, and they founded Pony App, a horse management software. I'll have to get onto the App Store and check it out. It's been competing at the FEI level with Butterfly since 2013, so getting some miles under their belt, looking to catch the eye of ultimately Robert Ridland, but maybe at this stage Ann Kaczynski is the development team coach. And so far so good. Nicely ridden down there. Organized 9AB very well. Gave Butterfly the room to get 10 done. Strong gallop around the turn. Had to wait a little bit for number 11 AB to show itself. And again, just reorganizing, a little patience, using all his scope out over the Liverpool. And there we have it. Number 8 through to the jump off. Lindsay Douglas. 80.74 the running time. From one of the young riders and the US circuit to one of the veterans, shall we say, Jonathan McRae. From Windsor, Connecticut, easy for me to say, from the Windsor Show Stables. Jonathan originally hailing from County Armagh in Northern Ireland. Today coming out with Aristoteles.